life is meant to be lived.
And on this show, I'm gonna tell you crazy stories of my life. I'm your boy Mush King. You already know, I got a story to tell.
What it is, friends, it's your boy Mush King, and you're now tuned into an all-new episode of A Story to Tell right here, exclusively on the CWF Network, where we bring you the big content in small pieces. I mean, what up? What's good? Thank you for joining me again. Each and every Wednesday, you can catch me right here where I like to tell the crazy stories of my life, the crazy stories of the internet, the crazy stories of this network, and all that good stuff. So thank you. I am your host, the four-letter guy, the 8 letters better, who I've always been for 20 years now, Mush King. And I want to welcome you back, man. This show is just a show where I like to talk my shit, give you updates on the network, give you updates on everything that's been going on. Like, so if you didn't hear the episode last week, Guns Blazing, go ahead and check that out. Like, I was telling you about my balcony chronicles. I was telling you about, like, whether or not your boy should think about getting a gun and all that. And, you know, it's a real good episode. So go ahead and check that out if you have not heard that yet. But, you know, like I said, thank you for coming back again. This is the catch up where I just catch you up on a few things that I have going on in my life right now. Then there's the purple bag, where I talk about the music that I listen to, and then also what you're watching, like the part of the show where I like to talk about the things that I'm watching on the television or the YouTube or something like that. So if you're interested in this type of thing, please join me here each and every week. Subscribe where you can. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the major podcasting platforms. But most importantly, I need you guys to go to the YouTube and subscribe right there, because that is where it's at. But I'm not even going to take a whole lot of time to get into this today. This has been like a very trying week. And I'm realizing that each and every time that this happens, it throws me off just a little bit more. But then again, it doesn't, because I've been through it before and I'm already prepared. But it's still a little jarring whenever I have to go through it. But let me give you a little backstory. Now, this conversation is not to shade anybody. This conversation is not to, you know, hurt anyone's feelings. It's literally just pointing out the facts of the things that I have to go through with running this network. Now, when I started this network in 2014, you know, it was just conversations with friends. Go check out that clip I just posted on Instagram, like an old clip of conversation with friends. I'm trying to get Ali D to come back. So if you're somewhere where you can comment, go ahead and comment. Come back, Ali D. Like, so I can show him, and then he can know that he's won it back. So go ahead and do that. But one thing is, with this network, I'm always gonna try to provide opportunities, provide coaching, provide tips that I can give, because I've been doing this for a really long time. And one of the main thoughts that I lead with when it comes to like running this network is that everything I ask you to do has been stuff that I've done myself. Like, I've been running this network for 8 years now. So every single piece of all these shows that I produce is stuff that I learned over time, from marketing to editing. I remember when I had that $115 laptop, and it took me 45 minutes to edit 15 minutes. And I just couldn't wait to get a MacBook. And now that I have a MacBook, it makes it so much easier. But then I always think back to those times when I didn't have the MacBook and it wasn't easy. And I was still showing up for myself, showing up for the people that I brought onto this network and who were running, you know, who were hosting shows at the time. Like, I mean, there's been times when I've been sick or just not in the mood, hungover, and I've just still dragged my ass to this computer and did what I had to do for these people. Now, most recently, I had a host, the host of my music show. Now, she came to me, I can't remember. I want to say that it was a Craigslist ad that I post. Now, guys, I still be posting on Craigslist sometimes, like, especially to find like people in this network. I have found some really great people via Craigslist. I've found some really great jobs. I found some really great places to live via Craigslist. But sometimes Craigslist ain't the same place it used to be. But that's a different story for a different day. But I had a few people hit me back on the post that I posted about joining the network. And I believe that this host was one of those responses. So, of course, from New York, we have a connection. Boom, boom, boom. She tells me what she's looking for. I tell her what I'm looking for. And I'm going to stop the story right there. Now, this is the part where I always get a little confused, because I'm just like, I could have swore that I just laid this out right here. I could swore that I laid out all the shit that I've been through in the past with hosts. I feel like I mentioned that just so they could be like, okay, cool. But every single host that I do that with, they always say, oh no, I get it. Like, no, I'm definitely down. I'm definitely excited. And then when it comes time to do the work, it doesn't get done. Now, one thing is, like, when running this network, like, I have a spreadsheet that people are supposed to fill out. It kind of keeps me organized with the shows, so to know what everyone's talking about. So it's just a one glance look at, you know, your show and what you've talked about and how your numbers are doing, all that. Like, it's once again, it's a spreadsheet that I created. Like, I worked at a job that I had to take Excel courses for, which taught me how to build dashboards, and hence the reason of the spreadsheet. Now, if the spreadsheet's not done, a lot of times when I'm editing, I don't know what to put, like, because I didn't record the show. I don't know what you talked about. I don't know nothing. So if it's not there, then what am I supposed to do? There were several times, and mind you, this relationship started back in April. It's now August. So that's 4 months. In that span of time, I mean, there's been times when I went to go edit the show and the show wasn't in the folder yet, or it was added to the wrong folder. There were times when the spreadsheet wasn't filled out. Like, I've mentioned, hey, can you fill out a more detailed spreadsheet? Because the thing is, like, I just want you to fill it out so you can kind of get a sense of what it means to track your show. If you are doing a podcast, if you're doing any show and you're not tracking down your numbers, like, then what are you doing? And, I understand it's a lot. It's an extra task to do. But if it's the process that was already set up before you came, I'm not sure why you would think that you didn't have to do it. And that's the crazy thing about this network and everything that I've dealt with. Like, this isn't the first time that I've dealt with having to let someone go off the network. But fast forward into, once it got ugly. Now, there was a deadline. I looked in the folder. Nothing was there. Now, this wasn't the first deadline missed. I had sent a deadline for something else the week before. It was totally ignored. So it wasn't just that one deadline that was missed that caused me to do it. It's been like a multitude of things. Last week, I was called and cursed out, all because of what I titled the show. Now, mind you, when I titled the show, I just look at the spreadsheet and I look at what you wrote, and I kind of get a gist of that so I can name the show, right? So when I looked at the description, I saw, words, I kind of put together a title. For some reason, it was translated to her that the title was offensive and that I was calling her slow, and she was calling me blacking out. She called me crying on the phone, like, why would you do this? Are you calling me slow? And I was just like, whoa, what is happening right now? So then she proceeds to hang up on me. And I wasn't going to call back because at that point, it was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And so I was here with my friends drinking. And when I answered the phone, I didn't really even think it was going to be her. I just kind of answered the phone because I answered the phone all the time. And I was just like, hello. And then that's when it was just like, totally like threw me off, like threw my company off because I was sitting here like, huh? So fast forward, I sent the email like, listen, everything you've done, I appreciate it, because I do, man. And that's the thing that I want people to understand. I appreciate everything that everyone does for this network. But at the end of the day, I have a job to do. And that job is to continue to keep pushing out content. Like, even when it's not your show, it's going to be me pushing out content. Like, just because that show ended does not mean I can take a break from a storyteller. Does not mean I can, take a break from all the things that I have going on. And then also, when you miss deadlines and you're on a network with other people, that affects other people's numbers and what they're doing. So then it looks like you're not even caring about the team effort. You're just caring about what you want to put out, what you want to do. And that's totally fine. But you can go do that on your own accord without my editing, without my marketing skills, without my producing skills, without my network. Like, that's just how I feel. So I thought the whole thing was over. Like, once I sent the email, I said thank you. I figured that I would get a response basically being like, this ain't fair, which is kind of what I got. But folks, then, a couple days went by and I thought it kind of died down. Then I received an email stating that because the content that was there was still up, it's like I'm still pushing her likeness but yet icing her out the network. So guys, listen, I just spoke about a couple weeks ago about how Beyonce and 𝐒𝐏𝐻𝐿 and that whole thing, and 𝐒𝐏𝐻𝐿 shared how she wasn't credited for certain things. And what did Beyonce do? Beyonce didn't even say nothing. She didn't even address it. She just went to go remove it from from her album, and then said thank you and good night. And that's exactly what I did. Like, you know, you want to feel like I'm copyright infringement, I'm like taking your likeness, sure. Everything that was on that had anything to do with her was deleted from the network, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. All of it. Because it's like, I'm not going to keep going back and forth with you. You're not the first person I like had to go through this with. You probably won't be the last. And it's like, all I'm trying to do is just create a dope ass network. Like, you know, and the crazy part about the whole thing is like a lot of times when I deal with women on this network, like from the beginning of the network 8 years ago, the women, if the fallout is bad, it always boils down to you never called and checked up on me. I've had this said to me multiple times by multiple people. And, you know, I always laugh at that comment because it's just like, I'm technically just your boss. I'm not your friend. We met randomly, unless, you know, me and the host, because me and some hosts have built up, you know, the connection over time. Like, you know, a couple of hosts had kids, a couple of hosts got married, a couple of hosts, like, you know, it's just been a couple different things. So, and when that happens, I'll call and say congrats. I'll call and say, hey, what's up? But on the day to day, like, oh, what's up? What's good with you? Like, all of that. I probably am not the best person for that. Should I be doing it? Maybe. But as a one-man band of running this whole network, I can't spend time checking in on everybody and then have no one check in on me. I have no one to say, hey, Mush, do you need me to do something to help you out? I don't get that. All I get is I'm not doing this. I'm not filling out that spreadsheet. I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about that. Okay, cool. Great. So now that we know what you're not doing, then I can move accordingly and move on. I mean, that's just what it is. And I hate the fact that there's always bad blood. And, you know, I always try to keep it light. I try to keep it professional. But y'all, let me tell you something. I don't do the back and forth well. I'm not good at the back and forth. But what I will say is I've definitely learned how to retract back some of my spiciness. Because, you know, my response to some of the messages that I was receiving was about to be like, yo, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Like, I'm a grown-ass man who's damn near 40. You're not going to be talking to me this type of way. But then again, I thought about it and I'm just like, yo, at the end of the day, I didn't do nothing. Because if you worked at BET, you worked at VH1, MTV, Complex, whatever company you work for, you wouldn't just be able to walk in the building and do what you want. And I understand, like, I'm a person who runs this network and all of that. And also, a lot of times, like, people think, like, yes, I run this network alone. But I have people that I talk to and say, hey, listen, what do you think I should do? And they'll be like, fire them. And I'll be like, you know what? You're right. Let me start listening to other people. Because when I listen to me, because, like, even that next day after she called and cursed me out, I was just like, well, you know, she didn't mean it. Like, I get what she's saying. But then I'm like, nah. Respect comes a long way and it has to be earned. And the thing is, you're not going to, and from day one, like, it's just been this push and go type of relationship when creating content. And for me, that's not the type of way I want to create content. Like, I'm very free flowing, free spirited. Whatever you want to do, sure, let's do it. Let's get it. But as long as the work is being done, like, I'm always going to be like, the work is being done. Because at the end of the day, when you sent your audio and it had to be recorded, edited, and posted, that's exactly what happened. Marketing was provided to you, as like I said in the beginning. Everything that I said I was going to do, I did it. And you brought that show onto the network that already had an existing listenership. So it's like you're not doing me any favors by basically telling me like, oh, well, that's copyright infringement. Sure, I'll take it down. You just got here. I have 500 other shows that are up right now that people can go back and listen to from overtime. I have 4 shows in production right now that I'm working on. The last thing I need is like to be working with somebody that is like, you know, I'm scared to call them because I don't know like what type of energy I'm gonna get on that day. Like, let me tell you something. If you're listening right now, whatever happened, my apologies. It wasn't meant to be like that, but I have a business to run here. And that's that on that. But that's all I'm going to speak on it, folks. I had said a couple weeks back that I wasn't going to be coming on this show to be expressing the things that I'm going through with this network because I didn't want it to become that. But I had to get this off my chest, like, because just, you know, after I took everything down on the network, I thought that was the end of it. And then I posted something. Mind you, it's so funny when people always think that something is about them. I had a conversation over the weekend, and it was just about, accountability and, doing the work and all of that. And I just felt so inspired by it. And then when I woke up on Monday, I had seen a tweet that was very similar to that. So in my head, like over the weekend, I was like, okay, you know what I want to start doing? I want to, start screenshotting tweets from people and posting them on the Instagram. That's what I want to start doing. So I saw that tweet. I was like, okay, this would be a great first one. I posted it. And it was about, like I said, about like doing the work, basically like just do it. Man, when I tell you there was a whole soliloquy that was written under my post, basically running down on me like, you need to stop being a bully and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, whoa. Number one, I've never disrespected you. And what you're not going to do is come up under my platform comments and try to run down on me because you feel a type of way because you didn't submit the things that needed to be submitted. Like, that's not my fault. That's not my fault, and I have to keep moving on. So that is what that is about that. Like, guys, the end of summer is coming. Next week is fucking Labor Day. Labor Day used to be one of my favorite. Well, I told y'all that Memorial Day is one of my favorite holidays just because, the start of summer. But Labor Day has always been a big holiday for me because, I always came down to Atlanta or, the West Indian Day Parade in Brooklyn. Like, I was there every year. Or I would make it back from Atlanta just so I can make it back to the Parkway on Monday. So, I always did that. And it's just weird now living in Atlanta. And, when you're the local here in the town, you live here now. You're not just a visitor. It's a little different. You don't want to do those things that the visitors do because it's like, I live here now. I don't want to do that. So I'm just trying to figure out what my Labor Day plans are. What are your Labor Day plans? Like, do you have like something specific that you want to do? Like, do you have something specific you're trying to get off before the end of summer? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But let me slide on over to the purple little bag so we can talk about some happy music because all this draining conversation, I just can't do it. Let's get into it.
Oh my gosh. The music just turns.
All right, so we're in the purple little bag, the place where I like to talk about the music that I am listening to, the things, and all the things music related. The first thing I want to get into is this new AI rapper. Now, I don't know if you guys seen it, but there's a whole artificial intelligence rapper that they dropped, a little cartoon. And I think it could be cool because, we've seen elements like this. We've seen like the Muppets, they kind of did like little song and dance, like the Chipmunks had the Chipettes. So we've seen something similar, but this is the first time like a record label signed somebody that's not real, and that makes it a little bit weird, and it makes it a little bit scary actually because it's like, now what's gonna happen? Like, are they even gonna need humans to be music artists anymore? And it's like, yes, okay, so they took it down because he was the AI rapper mimicked Tekashi 6ix9ine a whole lot, like from the sound to the imagery, but they had him saying the nigger and he was being beaten up in a cell by the police, like police brutality. Like, I don't know. It's just like a slap in the face to black folks and everything that we go through as people. And then now they're having this cartoon kind of basically play up on the trauma-filled lives that we sometimes have to live with being black. Like, I just think that is just, But, as far as like technology advancement, I feel like that's dope. Like maybe if I get into AI, I could create my own rapper. And then next thing you know, I'm being paid to rap, but I'm not really rapping. It's someone else doing it. So I thought that was real interesting. The other thing I wanted to get into that's not really music-esque based, I'll be listening to the radio. Yo, some of these radio hosts, like, when they do their little afternoon ride, like, because me, I still listen to the radio. I know a lot of y'all don't listen to FM radio, but, I like to hear what's going on, like with the sound, how they make commercials and like how they make them sound. So, when I do the network stuff, it sounds up to par, radio-like, and top-tier quality. But some of these hosts that I have, like, one, I hate when they get on gay topics. Like, when you have these straight radio hosts and they get in on gay or gay-inspired conversation, i.e., for example, the P Valley conversation, or, Plies recently came out and made some funny remarks regarding the show. Listen, people have sex. It is what it is. Like, I can understand why, as a man, and you're not into men, why you wouldn't like to see men kissing. I get it. But it just is what it is. Like, it's like, all right, like, if you want to turn the channel, sure. Like, but if you're that immature to where you can't even process two people just being like, okay, cool, I don't get it, but sure, have at it. Like, it's like I always say, like, you can not like mustard. And, you know, and just not like it. You don't gotta, like, fucking go hard on it. You don't gotta fucking talk about people who eat mustard like they're disgusting and talking down on people. Like, it just makes it to be like, bro, like, we want to champ and we want to, you know, champion every time for blacks when white folks say something about us, when they have something, you know, when they do something, when they fucking darken their skin for Halloween, because, child, you know, that's coming up. And then, yeah, like, they just be doing that. Like, we want to be champions for us when it happens to us. But then on the back end side, like, you know, we just let all that homophobia just slide. We just let all that fucking, like, you know, being racist towards other people, like towards Chinese and the Indians and all of that. Like, listen, black folks, I always hate when they be like, black folks can't be racist. That is a fucking lie. Because if you get around a lot of that kitchen table talk and, you know, they be talking about the other races that are in this country, you'll definitely hear some very derogatory terms. So I hate when I hear that. But that is, like, yeah, the toxic conversations from women who sound scorn about the men that they've been with. So now they're coming on the radio on a public platform and just kind of running down on men. Like, I don't like stuff like that. Like, I feel like if you're on a public radio, then you know, you can share your opinion without having to run down or make another set feel a certain type of way. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just built in a different time. Who knows? But before I get up out the purple little bag, I know this was a short section this week, but I fucking got caught up in almost 20 minutes on the catch-up. So we'll get to it next week. I have a lot more music for y'all next week and add some new things to the Mush King Life and Times. If you're not subscribed on Spotify, go ahead and follow me, Mush King Life and Times. You'll find it in the description below. Or you can type it in on SoundCloud, Mush King Life, the plus sign, times, and then it should pop up. If not, just click the link. But I will say this before I get out of here. Now, the Beyonce album. I'm still not like a fan, but I will say there are some songs that are like moving on me because just like I knew, they came out and started like, you know, pushing her songs at the parties that I've been going to and whatnot. And let me tell y'all something, that Church Girl song, I can see why it was the standout for people talking. Like, I heard a lot of people talking about that and I can see why it was a standout because it's a feel-good song. I saw that video of the pastor talking about how Beyonce sold her soul. They love to fucking just talk about Beyonce. But, like, what about the other pastors who are doing other things that are selling their souls? They may not be taking money from the devil, but, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that going on in that church that you ain't talking about. And that's the real conversation for another day. But let's slide on into what you watching. All right, now I can let y'all know what I'm watching. What I'm watching is, you know, basically what I'm watching. And the one thing I thought about this week is I really need to try to expand outside of my comfort zone of what I watch normally on TV. Normally what I watch is music-based, interview-based, crime-based, law, jail-based, stuff like that. Like, but when it comes to like the medieval stuff, like I just saw like the new Game of Thrones. I think it's a spinoff. Don't get me lying, but I saw it and I was like, well, maybe just maybe I could try to watch it and maybe I'll really like it. But I be knowing me. And so like when they be talking in them accents or it's just like that medieval times talk, I just don't be interested. It just reminds me of school when they used to be rolling that dumbass card out with the TV on it, and I used to be sitting there like, oh my God, this is about to be the nap time. And then you would think you about to get a good old nap. And then that teacher will walk around with them spreadsheets like, oh, quick pop quiz for those of y'all who had your head down. But I would always finesse those and pass them because like I might have had my head down, but I was always listening. Listen, I've always been a listener. That is the way I've gotten through life. A lot of times is just by listening, taking example, and applying pressure. Like that is how I've made it through life. Like pay attention to what people say. Don't listen to everything people say, but pay attention. Pay attention. It's important. But a new show that I have been watching, Severance. It's an Apple TV Plus show. I've been watching that. It's starting off a little slow. I remember watching the first episode maybe a couple months ago, and then like I heard I was listening to Joe Budden podcast and I heard them talking about it again. So I was like, let me revisit it. I'm on episode 2 now. It's still a little slow, but we'll see if I finish. Kanan is a little slow as well. I know they're only like episode 2. I think a new one comes out this week, but they've also been a little slow. And then like I was just telling Ali D the other day, they're talking in these like Scarface-esque accents, and like I'm just like, why is everybody talking like this? Did everyone go to like the Sopranos school of acting? I don't know. It's been a bit weird, but I'm glad to see. I am looking forward to see where they go with the storyline, and if Kanan's going to be built to continue to keep going. I mean, I guess we know the story because he ended up being in power, but it's going to be good to see how that ended up, and also how he got to the stage of where he was at power. Also, I feel like Laverne, what is her name in the show? She was also in Power, who was played by Nika Noni Rose, but in Kanan, it's his cousin. I feel like they can have a spinoff for her show too, because I remember that time, I want to see how she got into being a cop and all that, and I feel like they're kind of trying to set it up with that cop friend that she's making and all of that. So I'm glad to see what happens with that. Right now, my number one top show, Rap Shit. I mean, and of course, because it's Issa Rae, and Issa Rae always gonna, she's gonna provide a good black experience on television. So it's a good story. More and more, I do think that it is the story of the City Girls, because it's a whole lot of City Girls music involved. It's a whole lot of City Girl references, Carisha Please, and all of that. Deleon fucking liquor in it. So it's a great show, man. It's a great show about music and about the hustle. And, guys, I got a show called Creating Hustle on the network. So check that out. It's my business show. And, that's my show right now. So make sure, let me know if you're watching that and what you think about it right now. Like, is it growing on you? Like, and I'm so mad that Issa Rae always gets these fucking 30-minute episodes. What, can you give us an hour? I feel like 30 minutes is just such a cheat. I feel like you save those for those little comedies on NBC. Save those for the 30 minutes. Like, if we're gonna have deep, dramatic conversation, you can't have that in fucking 30 minutes. Says the guy who has a network of 30 minutes or less. Also, P-Valley, the finale came on. What did you guys think? I thought it was an excellent season, regardless of what everyone said. There is a place of writing that show came from that is just the whole story, the whole fairy tale that Mississippi had, and the moment when she met up with Benny from the Have and Have Nots. And, she had that little Red Riding Hood hoodie on, and just that, and Red Riding Hood running from the big bad wolf who was trying to attack her, and that was crazy. The whole thing with ACS happening at the end of the episode, that was nuts. And she hit the cop. And if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but you can watch it just like me, who it got spoiled for. So, but that's everything that I'm watching right now. I want to know what you're watching. Are you watching a new Game of Thrones? Is there a new show that I should be watching right now? Let me know in the comments below, and we're gonna wrap this up and slide on in to the wrap up. All right, folks. Now, let me tell you something. If you hear a little bit of noise in the background, they are demolishing a building across the street. The building caught on fire a couple months before I came here, and it's been sitting. I've been here a year now and a half, and it's been sitting here, just burnt down partially. So now they're finally doing what they're doing and rebuilding it. So if you hear a lot of background noise in the back, that's exactly what that is. But once again, I just want to thank you guys for listening to my rant earlier today. A Story to Tell is a story, stories about my life and the internet, and it's a story about my life and a person that I met on the internet. So it worked out well for me. Just know that new show ideas are coming. The Chronicles of Being Brown is a segment where I'm gonna have people come and share their stories, whether it's traumatic or triumph. You just come and share your story of your black experience. I also have Creating Hustle for all my creative folks. So if you know someone doing something creative and turned their idea into a business, go ahead and tell them to reach out to Creating Hustle. And then, I have Dialing Digits, which is my scripted podcast that I started. I have another show called, I have another scripted show that I'm working on that I actually want to collaborate with some writers to kind of finish that out. So I have a lot of things on the horizon And, you know, I just can't be boggled down by the things that are happening around me. It's getting to the place where I'm really just trying to, like, I need a pinhole focus of, you know, to get to my success. And I'm realizing that more and more people around me are holding me back because of, you know, they know me from different things. They know me from Party Mush. They know me from, you know, Mush that has all the jokes, but they don't know the business side of me and what I've been doing for 8 years, like, and how much work this really entails. Like, this really entails a lot of fucking work, and I don't think that people understand that. So that's just what I have. Look at me going over 30 minutes. Oh my God, and broke my own record. But folks, I'm about to get up out of here. Be sure to follow the network on social media. CWFP_ is where you can find us. Send me a voicemail, 347-719-3350, and let me know something, where you're from. Who knows? Give me a shout out. You know, you're listening to Storytell. Who knows? I played in the episode, but go ahead and do that. Mush King __ is where you can find me on socials, Instagram and Twitter. Please be sure to follow me there. And remember, folks, be sure to tell your story, because you never know who's listening, because guess what? Everybody got a story to tell. And today, I had a 30-minute story, and now we're here, and now I'm going. Later, folks.
This is the CWF Network, where we bring you big content in small pieces. Follow us on Instagram at CWFP_. Okay, bye.
cross.